I go to Voch Rabboisai. We're live from a hotel room in Connecticut. Shabbos Sheva Brachas of my brother and sister-in-law are making for my niece, Meira, and Eliyahu Bronstein. It is an hour and a few minutes before Mincha, Erev Shabbos. So here we go. Try to limit the, well, I don't know if we could limit the emails. I want to show you, yesterday was amazing. You saw, I said it, but to think about it afterwards and to say, wow, a Litvish guy without a beard goes into Monroe, gives a shear, and people came and they were walking. They had to walk far. There's not enough parking spots, and they parked in a mall, and they had to walk, and it looked like this. It just, place was pretty packed. They sang beautifully. Look at this, Mom is beautiful. And they came afterwards, but I had to say hello to everybody. So 5 seconds a person, and it's one story after the other. I mean, the amount of people in one place that told me the same story. I haven't opened up a Gemara in 10, 15 years. I haven't opened up a Gemara in 20 years. A Satmar Chassid with the beard and pious, with a leather yarmulke. He's going out, he's going to send us pictures from everyone, talking like a real Hasidic Yiddish, but a leather yarmulke. I haven't opened up a Seifert in who knows how long. And this guy and that guy. And then, of course, the emotional email from the guy, and he came afterwards. And he said hello to me after the shir was over. That the Rosh Yeshiva said, "So what if you're a Yassim? You think I'm going to have Rachmunas on you, etc., etc." But it was just super emotional. I was zeicha to go afterwards. Never been to Kiryas Yoel, certainly not to the Kever Yoel Teitelbaum, which I speak about in shir. I mention him often. Here's just the thing. Oh, they sent in a picture of what I would look like right after the Monroe shir. It's interesting that I don't know if we have a picture of it, but there is a picture of me pointing at the takanas, and takana number 1 of the takanas is, can you please close that door over there? Thank you. Takana number 1 is to make sure that you don't shave your beard or mess around with the beard. That's takana number 1 of Kiryas Yoel. There's also a lot of takanas about contractors. You know, a lot of non-Jewish workers working in your building an hour before Shabbos, and so that the people are not like just rolling out the tools and the cars coming out of the place when Shabbos is. Shaitels, not the whole thing, but takana number 1, no beard. So a guy comes over to me and he started lecturing me that you have such an achrayis, you have 40,000 talmidim. So a guy like you has a achrayis, you should have a beard. I said, you know why I have 40,000 talmidim? Because they don't have a beard. He got so upset, he turned around and he said something to me, I don't even know what. And he ran away. Gewaldige stuff. Anyway, I had a blast. They took me into the cave. It was like literally with the lights and sirens. They opened up the gate. It was murder. I got to see the yeshiva, the whole thing. Okay, fine. I'm going to skip all the emails for today because we're running so late. The Masechta official edition MDY Shas. The Masechta is sponsored by the Iranian Levi families. The Perik, Shani Moti Belsky. No, it's not Shani Moti Belsky. Okay. Let's see. The Perik, Lilu Nishmas, Imi Murasi, Elisheva Basra Baruch Halel Shal Nilva, Ner Aleph, the Chanukah, Tovshin Pei Aleph, Teinish Mosat Tzur B'Sur HaChaim. Let's see. Oh, the Daf they got right. The Daf is dedicated by Cheryl and Michael Katz in memory of our parents, Irving Hagler, the OG Dial Daf man, and Ben and Sonia Katz. So if you don't mind, whoever you are, tell Shimi that he has to change the Perik. Okay. We could say Moti Shani and Moti Belsky, thank you for the first parak, because we are continuing a little bit of we still are in the first parak. Shani Moti Belsky, Lilishma, Simcha Beryl, David, Zichron Levrach Ben Avram Moshe. What do we have? The Masechta is sponsored by David Salman, dedicated in memory of Avi Meir, Reb Shmuel, Baruch Ben Reb Chaim Tzvi, Dov Zechron Levracha, Joel Gedalius, Lili Nishmas, my father Jack Gedalius. Anonymous, Hatzlacha Baruchnis Ubegashmis, the Palchik Family Foundation, the Zech Nishmas, Rav Agoyin, Reb Shlomo Palchik, the Meshach Zerilu. Anonymous, for Shlema Moshe Ben Izah. Anonymous, for a complete Refuah Shlema and Arichas Yom to Leah Bas Esther. Yisrael Malki Tov Torah Spichel Malfi Zav Chesed. We are so proud of you, Yaakov Mordechai. Keep steiging. I just met Yaakov Mordechai. Send the Gross and family, Canvey Island, UK, in honor of Reb Eli, who changed my meaning of life. Pliny Almoini, Yossi, Mark, and Benny, and all the Oiskim B'tzorchi MDY, Akash Baruch Shalom Scharam. Ari Simon, the Refuah Shlema of Imari Baruch Ben Miriam. Jamie Azulai, Refuah Shlema, Esther Bas Luna, Anonymous. Baruch Habili Dai, Tzvinisim Ben Shoshana Leah, Yehuda B'Yomim Ben Chava, Anonymous. Refuah Shlema, Naftali Herz Ben Henyan Leah, a hidden tzaddik in our generation, Anonymous. In memory of Mazel, Bat Leah, Besanada, and Hiskia, Anonymous. The schus of very that is good and open and revealed way. For Yosef Mordechai Ben Bat Leah, Yehuda and Yehuda, Lewis, as a schus for everyone in need of a shidduch. Anonymous, for the merit of Michal Ben Yisrael Yosef's success and blessing in all areas of life. Sprinting now in growth, the Nishmas Shlem Zam Ben Yitzchak Isaac, B'Yom Isaac Ben Tzvi Shakoyin, Refuah Shlema Yonatan Eitan Ben Besheva Bracha. Anonymous, for the merit of a Refuah Shlema from Malka Bas Chayot. Centers.com, helping Yidden Daven B'Tzibur with Papa Binyonim anywhere worldwide. Lili Nishmas Chaim Shalom Ben B'Tzalel. Daily sponsors Anonymous, Lili Nishmas Eliyahu Ben Chaim Yitzchok and Razel Bas David Mordechai. MDYR for the month. Yosef Ben Chaisar for Parnas B'Revach. Before Shlema Yonatan Eitan Ben B'Shev Bracha, before Shlema Mordechai Ben Esther, before Sayela Daniel Zev Ben Ayel Esther. I see that the dedication by Yoshi is off. I'm very happy. Hopefully it takes the $1,000 or whatever money. Here the Takanas, and the Takana number one, I was so excited to see, is that you cannot shave your beard if you want to be in Kiryat Yisrael. Rabbi Yisai, we're holding by a brand new mission, Daf Yud Beis, Amud Beis. Try to do a quicker shear than usual. Le'echol kechatzi zayis ulahakte kechatzi zayis. Rabbi Yisai, we're talking about pigul. We're talking about a person who, as he's doing the kmitza, he has a thought that could ruin, or not ruin in some cases, this mincha. His thought, let's talk about this. This is the large amount of flour. This is what's left over. After the kohen puts his hand in, takes 3 fingers worth, puts it in a kli. Let's say he puts it right over here. Small amount of flour. This goes on the mizbeach. This over here, see the 2 amounts? The small amount is the kmitza, goes on the mizbeach. The larger amount is the shirayim. If I had a nice pen, I couldn't find one. Goes up. Let's write shirayim over here. Nice big letters. Okay, see? Shirayim. I don't know if you could read it. Boom. Good. Shirayim. Shirayim from Rebbe. Shirayim of the Kmitza, of the Mincha. This is, there's nowhere to write here, so this is the Kmitza. Large, small. So the guy says, I'm going to take, if he said I'm going to take a full kazayis of this and eat it, make a bread out of it, make a donut out of it, tomorrow, that's full-fledged pigul, you ruined the mincha. Why? Because he said tomorrow. You're only allowed to eat it today. And it's the full amount, the full kazayis. And if he says, I'm going to take this, a full kazayis of this, and put this, where do I put this? On the mizbeach. I'm not going to eat it. It's not for human consumption. This goes on the mizbeach. It's a certain eating of the mizbeach. The mizbeach eats it. It consumes it. There's an achila of the mizbeach and there's an achila of adam. What happens if he says, I'm going to take a half a kazayis of what's supposed to go on the mizbeach, not a full kazayis, a half a kazayis, and a half a kazayis of what I'm supposed to be eating a donut. I'm going to make a half a donut. Together have a whole kazayis, kosher. Why is it kosher? You're right, I have a total of 1 kazayis, but since there are 2 types of eating, one is a human consumption and it's only a half a shear, it's a half a kazayis. The other one is a mizbeach consumption, it's a half a shear, it's a half a kazayis. They don't combine together, they're not mitzdaref. She'ein achila v'aktor mitzdaref. Did a very simple chart here. Actually, I didn't do it. I sent it to Yoshi, and he tells me it's 40 minutes before the Zman in Eretz Yisrael, but I'm going to do it for you. You asked me to do it, I'm going to do it. So I do appreciate it. I said, oh, wow, I didn't realize that it's so close to Shabbos. But I wasn't going to tell him, don't do it. We need it. Klal Yisrael needs it. So here we go. I hope it's worth it. It says in the Mishnah, Chatzi Zayis Lechol, Chatzi Zayis Lachtiv. Half a gezayis to eat and half a gezayis to put on the Mizbeach. You could infer and be medayik that this doesn't work. But what does work? If it's a half a zayis of shirayim and a half a zayis of kmitza to eat. What if I said, instead of saying I'm going to put half a zayis on the mizbeach of this kmitza, I'm actually going to use it for my donut. I'm going to consume it physically like a human being consumes. Now, it's not really meant for human consumption. It's meant for mizbeach consumption. But I'm going to use that half a kazayis from the kmitza and combine it with the half a kazayis of the shirayim, and together I have a whole kazayis. And l'chayra, it's mashma from the Mishnah that would be a good pigul. It's only not a pigul the top two, but the bottom two you could infer that it is pigul. Otherwise, the Mishnah would have said it. Abai is going to say what you're saying is beautiful. It's a great inference, and it's a good diuk. But let's be medayik something else. So let's see inside. But if I'm going to eat the kmitza as food, then it would combine to make a full shear and make pigul. As the Gemara Vaktoni Reisha lechol dov shedarki lechol ulakti dov shedarki lahaktir dov shedarki lecholin shedarki lecholoi. Mashma that it's not mitzdarif if you look at the Reisha. Says Gemara, you're right. We have a little bit of a machlokes. Mantana, who's our Tana that says that to take a chatzi zayis of something that's supposed to go on the mizbeach and actually eat it as a donut, it would combine with another half a kazayis that you're allowed to eat, the shirayim, and make it a full kazayis to make it legal. Who's that? That's the Tana, Rebbe Eliezer. It doesn't matter if it's meant for mizbeach consumption, a human being can consume it. It doesn't matter if it's a human being consumption or mizbeach can consume it. You could combine the two. This Nan, as we learned in the Mishnah, that's what we're talking about, a kmitza that's not the derech to eat, or it's, shein darki lechol, to take the shirayim and put it on the mizbeach is also not something that is that's done, but you did it. It's mitzaref. And what is the chiddush over here? We could see this mefurish. That what? If a person says, I'm going to do pigul of mechutz l'zman, mechutz l'machar, and a kazai is mechutz l'zman, l'machar is mechutz l'zman, or reverse. A kazai is, he starts off saying, I'm going to do one kazai is, I'm going to eat it tomorrow, which is chutz l'zman. Kazai is mechutz, and I'm going to do chutz l'mkoima also. And then it says weiter, kechatzi zayis b'chutz ukechatzi zayis l'mocher. Kechatzi zayis l'mocher, kechatzi zayis b'chutz. You're going to take in half, two halves of a kezayis. One half of a kezayis is chutz l'zman. One half is chutz l'mkoima. You combine the two. It doesn't matter how you started off, which one started first. Pasal ve'mekars. So we already have this halacha that it's mistarev. Hosulam ali. Why do I need it twice? If I'm going to tell you that I'm taking something that's edible and something that's not the way to eat it, in other words, it fits on the mizbeach, but I put it together, I would say that it's mitzaref. That I can't say. Why? Because I already learned in the Reisha that it's not mitzaref. Reisha Shabbos, no, it's not mitzaref. Now we skip these two lines. If I'm going to tell you that something that's like our Mishnah, something that's for human consumption, something that's for mizbeach consumption, put together are not mitzaref. Then I keep him dying from the Reisha. The what? The hashto. Ma lechol v'lechol. If I want to take two things to eat a half a kezayis and a half a kezayis of something that's edible and something that's not edible, I'm just mitzaref. They don't combine. Lechol akdim and so certainly, if it's something that's to eat and something that I want to put it on the mizbeach, they shouldn't combine. If I want to eat the two of them, consume it, but one is edible and one is not edible, they don't combine. So certainly, If I don't want to consume it, I just want to, half of it I want to consume, and the other half I want to put in his back. Well, how could it combine? The Gemara says, no, there's more of a svara to say that does combine. Why? In I do need that case. If you do something unnatural, in other words, I'm taking something like this bag. This is kmitza that belongs in this bayach, and I said I'm going to eat it. That's not a natural thing. That's against halacha. So okay, no, that's why it's not mitzvah. That's why it doesn't make sense that it combined. But when I did the right thing, this I said half a kizayis from here, that which is edible, I'm going to eat, and half a zayis from here, which goes on this back. I said I'm going to put on this back. So I'm doing the right thing. Maybe it should combine. That it's not mitzdaref. Hadran alocha menachos. Hadran alocha menachos. Hadran alocha menachos. Efshekem and zogin. Maybe you could say over here, kol menachos is like a chizuk for us that we finished all of menachos. What does that mean? Many of us, especially the new guys, they look at the Masechta and they go, "Wow, it's 120 daf. That's 4 months. That's a lot." Besides, I don't know a thing or two about menachos. What is a mincha? I don't know. Is it what's macherses, machvas, nedava, knois, choyta? What is going on here? Kmitza hin, kmitza blila, pigul. You know what? We finished the first paragraph. We finished the first chapter in the Masechta. In other words, chapter not as in parak, but as in a chapter. We went through nice sugyas, 12 daf, and we finished. So kishain that we finished the first parak, and it wasn't that bad. Be'ez Hashem, it's just going to get easier and easier, and we're going to finish the entire Masechta together, and it's not a big deal. Hakoyim is Mincha, says the first Mishnah of the second parak. This is a classic case of pigul. He does kmitza, and he says, I'm going to eat the leftovers tomorrow. Or he says, I'm going to take the kmitza and I'm going to put it on the mizbeach tomorrow. It's two types of consumptions of eating. Everybody agrees that that's pigul. You ruined it. It's actually, you get chorus for it. Now the question that the Gemara is going to ask is, why would I say that Rabbi Yossi doesn't say that? Because Rabbi Yossi continues and he says, on this he does argue. Oh, you don't understand. I ordered a brand new bag of frankincense. It's beautiful. It looked very nice in the picture. I thought it'd be perfect. Nice, chunky pieces of levina. And it says it's coming today by between 4 and 7 a.m. So at 5 o'clock in the morning, go to the door, it's not there. 6 o'clock, not there. 7 o'clock, not there. 8 o'clock, not there. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And then I had to leave to the hotel and it wasn't there. And it says it's arriving today. Kederach Bakoidesh, it probably arrived 1 minute after I left. Okay, I really wanted it. I thought it would be gishmak to hold it in my hand as I speak about it, not just a bag of flour. That's not so gishmak. But that's what the Beshefer wanted. So we'll have it other shiurim. But it's very neged today. As we're going to see, there's 2 parts that go onto the mizbeach. They have to burn. Part number 1 is this baggie. Part number 2 is in the Amazon bag. The frankincense must go on the mizbeach. As we're going to see, they're both very essential to go on the mizbeach, and they both comprise 50% of what goes on the mizbeach. So if a person has in mind that he's going to burn the levina, the frankincense, tomorrow, that's also pigul. Just like when he thinks that he's going to burn this flour tomorrow. We have a machloikis. Chacham say, listen, levina is just like the flour. What's the difference? And if you have a thought about the levina, that you're going to eat it, or you're going to the mizbeach is going to consume it. Not that you're going to eat it, but the mizbeach is going to consume it tomorrow, which is not the right time. It's after the allotted time. The allotted time is up to today. You have to put it on the mizbeach, not tomorrow. Say Chacham, if you think that, and then you go ahead and you eat the mincha, chayiv kares. And Rabbi Yossi says, no. That applies to the only to the flour, but not to the levina. You're right. If you think that, you're going to ruin the carbon, but you're not going to get kares for it. Kares, the Hashem chops down a person's life short, that's reserved only for the flour. And they try to prove it to him. You're probably thinking, Rabbi Yossi, that the levina is separate of the flour. But guess what? The levina is very similar to the imurim, to the body parts that we put onto the mizbeach, the kidneys, the skirt steak, the fats. And yet, if you think in your mind, as you're doing shechita, you're going to put those parts, the imurim. We should have put the picture of imurim here. You thought to yourself that you're going to put those parts onto the mizbeach tomorrow. That's real pigul. You chayiv kares for that. So how come levina is different? Omar answer, Rabbi Yossi answers very nicely. Look, they all come from the same animal. The kidneys, where do they come from? They come from a different. They come from this animal. But when you're referring to the frankincense, that comes in a different bag. That comes from Amazon, from a different place. Says the Gemara, what is the point of the beginning of the Mishnah? We all know what pigul is already. Pigul is when a person has a thought that he's going to consume this part of the mincha tomorrow. So what's the point of you telling me, oh, and Rabbi Yossi also agrees to it? There's no one in the world that disagrees with that. Says the Gemara, in the second part of the Mishnah it says, but if you thought about putting the frankincense onto the mizbeach tomorrow, there's no kares, says Rabbi Yossi. He argues with the Chacham, there is no kares. Now the same time, the Rabbi Yossi mishum dekosava im mefagdim b'chatzi matir. Oh, now we're gonna have a beautiful piece. It's not a complicated piece at all. A very simple piece. Think about it. When can the kohen benefit from this flour and eat this flour, make donuts out of this? When? Only when this kmitza goes onto the mizbeach. When this goes onto the fire, that moment, this becomes mutter to eat. So this becomes a matir. It allows you, this flour allows you to eat this. But wait a minute, there's one more thing that it must go on the mizbeach. It's called levina. You see this bag that I just got from Amazon? This bag right over here in my hand, full of these beautiful crystal yellow pieces of levina. This also must go onto the mizbeach. So these two, you see these two bags? They must go on the mizbeach. If I only put one bag, so I got 50% of the matter. I put another bag, I got the 100% of the matter. Each one is 50%. Oh. So says, I would think the Rabbi Yossi holds that I cannot do pigul with only half. The flour represents 50% of what allows me to eat the shirayim. It's a half of the pigul. It's a half of the matter. Half of the matter. So maybe you cannot do pigul on a half, on 50%. Komash Malon, you could do pigul 100%. If you think while you're doing the flour, you think to yourself, I am going to eat this, I'm going to put this flour onto mizbeach tomorrow. That's enough to be mefagel, be chayav kares. And I would think that applies even in the case of flour. In the Reisha, I do kmitza and I'm thinking to myself that I'm going to put this on the mizbeach tomorrow. I would think, oh, but putting this on the mizbeach tomorrow is only 50% of the matter, so it shouldn't be pigul. No, it is pigul. He says, no, it's a full pigul for everything. Turning of the Daf, Adar Global, your one-stop shop for all your financial needs. Isaac Castle. In honor of all the MDY Dafers in South Florida, we should all be Matzlech Baruch Nitzvah Gashmias. You should know this Isaac Castle is a tzaddik because I mispronounced his name for over a week. I called him Castel. I wasn't joking around. I thought that's what it was, Castel. For some reason, somebody said, oh, it's like the word, like this word. It's pronounced like this word. Now, that word to me means Castel. That's how Castel wine, I believe that's how they pronounce it. So, Castel. Now, obviously, it's castle. But he didn't say a word until his friend wrote in. So, whoa, my friend's name is Castle, not Castel. What are you doing? Should all be Matzeh Baruch Zivigashim. Anonymous, in memory of Moshe ben Peretz, first yahrzeit, Kov Zayin Shvat. It's castle like castle. Literally, I know it's not Panovich math, but you're turning with the Das Fancy is our friend, the neighbor here in North Miami, Isaac Castle. His last name is pronounced the same way you'd refer to a building where a king lives, a castle. Since you shechted the pronunciation all week, I thought it'd be worth a quick minute to clarify. Yeshkoyach to you for all you do, and Isaac for the sponsorship. Signed hashtag Team Rap is okay. Hashtag Team Daf down the slopes all day. Perry. Okay. Shkoyach for the humor. Let's see what we got here. Okay. If a person says, Rabbi Yossi, we have a machlokes. He see this bag of levina I'm holding in my hand from Amazon. He takes this levina and, oh, it's not a joke that I'm doing this. The editors could easily put a bunch of levina in my hand and it'll be full of levina. Givaldi. I gave them a job to do. Rabbi Yossi said, Ein mater mefagelas amater. Listen to this. When I am holding this, I'm doing kmitza, I cannot think, I don't have the right to think about the levina going on tomorrow. And when I'm doing levina, I don't have the right to think about my flower. One has nothing to do with the other. I cannot have bad thoughts about another thing when it just triggered me, because it's all about triggers, as a vart to the satmar and chassid of my new friend that I met last night with the emotional email. When I read it, I choked up. I think many people choked up. Somebody came over to me and told me he choked up. So I know there are others in the room. The guy that the Rebbe tells him, so what if you're a Yasam? I'm saying, like, do you not believe in the Torah? What the Torah says is you have to be careful of the Yasam. I'm his mechanach. I have to teach him. And this is the way to teach him. Okay, very good. Great job. So not only are you going to get punished for shepherding a Yasam, but also punished for ruining a kid's life. Great. Good job, Rebbe. But maybe there's a underlying nikuda here that the Gemara says that one matter cannot be mefagel another matter. One person cannot ruin another person. Yes, we see that they do, if we allow them to. One individual should not be able to get into our heads and tell us what we should be and not be. If this Rebbe would know what this person turned out to be, he's a father and he has children, and he has a successful business and everything, he wouldn't speak like that. So a person has no right to go into another person's head and tell them things. Now, if they do it, the person that receives it has the right to reject it. He could also take it in and let it traumatize him. So that's all part of trauma. And I'm not telling people don't get traumatized and there's no such thing as trauma. I'm not saying that. But we as human beings, we have the ability to block it and say, you cannot be mefagel me. I'm different than you. I can be mefagel myself. I can ruin myself. I have the ability to ruin myself. That, yes. But I don't have the ability. I shouldn't have the ability to mefagel somebody else, at least with these kind of words and stuff. Maybe the pshat is when you have a certain amount of flour and a certain amount of frankincense, levina. So one can't be mefagel the other because they're different. Oh, here it is. When you have 2 spoonfuls of frankincense, like on the shulchan, the minu da hadadin, they're the same min. I would say that perhaps they should be mefagel. Kamash malon that they're not mefagel even if it's the same min. So the Sfasema says over here, I think it's his yard side. I didn't have a chance to check. Somebody told me yesterday that it's his yard side. I don't know. So that's what he said. It's right around his yard side. I know it's right around here. But I thought it was a very nice chap that he says. Why would I think that the two different bezichim, the two spoonfuls of frankincense that we have with the lechem upon him, why would I think that one has the ability to if it's not in the same kli, as we're going to see soon, it has to be one kli. But I'm saying it over here because now this is where we said it. Oh, we're going to find out in a second if it's his yard site. The Sfas Emes from Gur. So he has a chap that maybe it's considered one vessel. Why would two spoons be one? Because they're both sitting on one shulchan. The shulchan grabs them and makes them one, if I understood him correctly. Zog the Gemara. Are you able to tell me? Are you able to look me in the eye and tell me that Rabbi Yossi is not talking about because it's one item versus two? Yes, today is the Sfas Emes' yard side, is the Sham should have an aliyah. Baktani Seifa, Amrullah, Mashinsa min hazevach. In the Mishnah, in our Mishnah, the Chacham tell Rabbi Yossi, why is levina and flour different than a skirt steak and the rest of an animal? So what does he answer them? What do you mean? The skirt steak and the kidneys come from that same animal. But levina, fragrances, is not the same item as the flour. So you see that he is talking about it being one and two different things. He says, no, you didn't understand. My item in a mincha, be ikov mincha. He's not referring to whether it's one or two items. He's saying that one doesn't prevent the other one from happening. What does that mean? It's not like the way it works is, if I want to eat the shirayim, the leftover, I have to put the kmitza on the mizbeach. As long as I don't put this on the mizbeach, I cannot eat this. So one prevents the other. But that's not the case with levina frankincense. In other words, I could put the frankincense on the mizbeach even though I didn't put the kmitza on the mizbeach. And I could put the kmitza on the mizbeach even though the frankincense is not on the mizbeach. In other words, one does not prevent the other from happening. The lav ke'echad ma'agiv l'koyim is the shurayim. It's not similar to the kmitza that you can't eat the shurayim as long as the kmitza is not on the mizbeach. The kavan the lav is k'ad koyim is l'mizach l'shurayim, because as long as I don't put the kmitza on the mizbeach, you can't eat the shurayim. Hachinami ma'agiv l'levayna. I would think that the kmitza can prevent the levayna, but the halach is no. Whichever one of the two I want to put on the mizbeach first, whether it's the frankincense first or the flour first, I can put on first. And what do Rabbanan say? So we know on Shavuos, you're supposed to bring two breads and two sheep, two shlamim. Each shlamim you cannot be mefagel from one to the other. In other words, if I'm shechting shlamim number one on the right, and I think to myself that shlamim number two on the left, I'm going to eat that one in 3 days from now. That's not pigel. Why? Because A has nothing to do with B. Why does A have nothing to do with B? Because they were never put together in one vessel. But when you put the two things together in one vessel, so you have the levayna, you see the levayna on the left, those little rock-looking things. I have the levayna together on top of the flour, on top of the dough. So they were both in the same vessel. Then it should be as if it's one. Great. Take a look at this. Doing so, removing the levina from the large bowl and putting it on the mizbeach, that is not allowed to to be done by a Yisrael. If he does it, if a Yisrael moves it from vessel A to vessel B, you have to start all over. It's possible. You can't add another amount of Levaina and let the Kain do it. It's too late. Once he did it, it's possible. Why? My taima. It's because this is like walking. Because walking without your feet, with your hands, is also walking. In other words, when I take the Levaina from right over here and I move it to right over here, I just walked. Not with my feet, with my hand. I just moved it from area A to area B. You saw? That's what he did over here as well. Not this one, this one. He's moving it from the left of the screen to the right of the screen. That's walking. I moved it closer to the Mizbeach. Now it's easier and closer to get to the Mizbeach. So I moved it. Now, sometimes you move something with your feet, sometimes you move it with your hand. You have to hold the shita that moving without your feet is also considered a walking. And therefore, walking is one of the four avodas. What are the four avodas? Kmitza, Kabbalah B'Kli, Haylacha, walking to the Mizbeach, and being makter on the Mizbeach. So the Yisrael just did one of the four avodas, and that makes it possible. Now, Shlomo took this idea of walking without your feet. It's considered walking. I made a video out of it. Let me see if I can get to it. Bombach is our big kanoi guy that always has something to say to somebody else.
It can't be. No.
Gewalt! What are you doing? Why are you sliding on the ice while you're learning Torah?
The doctor told me that my medical condition requires me to go for a 30-minute walk every day.
You call that walking? According to halacha, there are clear klolim for what defines halicha. You're not moving your legs.
You didn't learn the Daf Yomi? You didn't learn the Gemara? Look, Reb Yanai says it befeirush. Halicha shelo baregel shma halicha.
I can't keep up. Oh, ha.
All right. Listen, I have a feeling. Last Masechta, somebody said something about cigarettes. So the whole Masechta, we got a bunch of cigarettes. Chatas with the cigarette, Ashur with the cigarette. This Masechta, we're just going to get a bunch of snowboards. Okay. I just hope they don't have sticks. Poles, I have to tell Shlomo, because Israelis don't know. Poles are reserved for skiers. On snowboards, we don't do poles. Okay. Weiter. Omar Rav Mori Avananami Tanina, we also learned this. Zeh Klal. Kol HaKoymetz v'noisim b'kli b'hamoylech v'hamaktir. Oh. Right, a lot of skiers don't use poles, especially beginners and really advanced. Everybody in between does. Well, I don't know. So, yeah, there's a chassid that came in Staten Island and says, I'll do the daf if you could beat me in a ski race. And then he tells me, I don't use poles. Here are the four avodas: Kmitza, Nesina B'Kli, Haylacha, and Aktara. So the Gemara is going to say all four right now. Kol HaKoymetz, this is the klal. If you have a machshava of pigul while you do Kmitza, V'noisim B'Kli, or putting into the vessel, V'hamoylech, and doing Haylacha, V'hamaktir, and being maktir, Bishlam HaKoymetz Anu Shoichet. As you can see in this chart, Kmitza on the right resembles Shechti. Moilech nami hanu moilech. And the third one, to bring it towards the Mizbeach. No, you bring it towards the Mizbeach, it's exact. Maktir, and throwing the carbon onto the fire, the milcha onto the fire, it's similar to throwing the blood onto the Mizbeach. Elonoisim Kli, Maikovid, but putting the number 2 from the right, the purple. Putting the mincha into a vessel, why is that similar to blood? Because you're going to say it's similar. It's not similar at all. Blood goes squirting out of the carbon's neck. All you need to do is put a vessel there and it fills it up with, and the vessel fills up by itself. But over here, you physically have to take the kmitza and put it in. So it's very different. You must do this, and if you don't do this, how are you going to get it to the mizbeach? So since you have to put it in a vessel to get it in the mizbeach, so it's avodah chashuv. It's considered a significant avodah, and therefore you could be mefagel during that. So it's similar to doing kabbalah. So by Levine also, if you don't gather it, so you won't be able to bring it to the mizbeach. So therefore, it becomes avodah chashuvi. It's an important avodah. So therefore, I make it as if it's halacha. So the Gemara no, it is similar to Kabbalah. It's similar to Kabbalah Saddam. What was the question we had? But Kabbalah Saddam happens by itself. You don't have to put the blood into the vessel; it squirts out by itself. Over here, you have to put the mincha, the kmitza, into the vessel. No, at the end of the day, let's look at it differently. You have kedusha, it's a klisharis. This golden vessel has inherent kedusha, and therefore what? Therefore, it's the kli that infuses kedusha into the mincha. Mali memelo, mali koshakol v'rami. So who cares if it happened by itself, or who cares if the blood went in by itself, or that you put it in? The bottom line is what happens afterwards. Once it's in the kli, it becomes kadosh. Rabbi Yisai, have a good Voch, have a good Shabbos, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.